Welcome to Who We Are, 5 Minutes in Marquette County History. Today let's take a glimpse at medicine in Marquette County in the past. Harriet Barker's childhood in 1851 reveals some good examples of early medicine in Marquette County. She recalls the pleasant relationship settlers had with the Indians, no doubt including reports of settlers sharing their medical skills with Indians and Indians sharing their vast knowledge with the settlers. She also recalled in a memoir that as a little girl, she and her parents traveled on the road between Packwaukee and Montello to bring back balsam poplar, a tree whose buds and inner bark were used to make a salve called balm of Gilead. As Mrs. Kramer, she later donated her Packwaukee home for a health institute that touted the healing mineral waters of the springs around Packwaukee. Dr. Spencer Pease was both a lawyer and a doctor. He was a graduate of Rush Medical College. He moved to Packwaukee in 1850 and was the first doctor in Marquette County. He moved to Oxford in 1859, then to Montello when the Civil War broke out. He owned interest in and published the Marquette Express newspaper, changing the name to the Montello Express when he moved there. He returned to the practice of law after the war ended. While practicing medicine, his home often served as the hospital. That's Dr. Pease's photo in his daughter Carrie Bissell's home. Dr. Marvin Waterhouse was born in New York in 1827. He married Maria Antoinette Older in Packwaukee in 1851. They lived in Oxford in the 1860 census. Dr. Waterhouse enlisted in the Army in September 1864 as an assistant surgeon. He was commissioned an officer in Company S, Wisconsin 1st Heavy Artillery Regiment. In January of 1864, his wife Maria traveled to Fort Lyons, Virginia to join her husband. They lived above the hospital. She wrote to her sister that Marvin was in charge of the hospital, which was constantly under threat of being burned by Confederate soldiers. Dr. Waterhouse mustered out on June 26, 1865, and by 1870 they were living in Portage, where he practiced until he died in 1878 at age 51. Women served in the medical capacity in many ways. Sarah Blakely's Little Black Book of Baby Names listed 292 lives she helped bring into the world from 1876 to 1913 in Marquette County. From age 45 to 82, she assisted women as a midwife and nursed others during illness and end of life. She was known as Auntie Blakely. Sarah was born in New York in 1831 and came to the town of Harris with her husband in 1870 to care for her father, John Smith. People paid what they could for her services. Her income for the year 1889 for her work was $33.50. She delivered babies on Christmas, New Year's, and 4th of July. Her last baby delivered was April 20th, 1913. Mary Ann Spain peddled her own herb medicines and was a midwife and nurse in Marquette County. She arrived in Moundville with her family in 1850, married in 1858, and had 11 children. She made cough syrup and a liniment called the King of Pain, all with secret herbal ingredients. The family tried to get Mary Ann's croup medicine in drugstores. It could be mail-ordered from agents and was advertised in Portage and Merritt's Landing. Mary Ann was always available to those needing help. Dr. Edward A. Bass moved to Montello in 1887. He was a graduate of Bennett Medical College in Chicago. This is a 1902 photo of him in his Montello office at 47 West Montello Street. Then he moved his office to 21 West Montello Street. He and his wife Ada were active in the Montello community, with Ada instrumental in organizing the first library there and later the American War Mothers. Dr. F. H. Dodge practiced in Briggsville in 1909. Nurse Hulda Taggetts worked for Dr. Zygmunt in Princeton, Dr. Kavanaugh in Montello, Dr. Frederick in Westfield, and Dr. Fetterman in Montello. She also took care of patients in their homes. Dr. J.M. Donahue in his reception room in Montello in 1905. The dental examiner's report of November 20th, 1889 recorded 3 dentists in Marquette County: M.O. Strait in Westfield, William Strait in Montello, and E.L. Perry of Westfield. On the first day of August in 1902, they recorded J.M. Donahue in Montello. The foot-powered dental drill used by Dr. Edwin Burt Anderson in Oxford is in the collection of the Marquette County Historical Society. The first foot-powered drill was invented in 1790, inspired by foot-powered spinning wheels. While the electric drill was invented in 1875, it did not come into wide use, mostly because few people had electricity, especially in rural areas. In 1872, a James Morrison took out a patent for a drill like this one. Dr. Anderson was born in 1895 in Sturgeon Bay. He married Winifred Nesbitt in Oxford in 1923. He died in 1971 and is buried in Oxford. Edwin was in dental school during World War I. Dr. Hugh Grant was a dentist in Montello. The photo shows him second from right at Marquette University School of Dentistry. His office was at 72 West Montello Street. Dr. Harry F. Frederick, who practiced in Westfield, is shown with some of the babies he delivered. He was born in 1864 in Pennsylvania and graduated from the University of Wisconsin in 1892. The photo is from about 1940. Dr. Lucas practiced in Montello, we're not sure exactly what years, and is shown on vacation in Adena, Wisconsin with his wife, who's on the left. Dr. E.H. Fetterman practiced in Montello. He's shown in his office and with the vehicle that he used to reach patients during the winter. He practiced from 1911 to 1935. Dr. Boots practiced in Briggsville for 25 years. This was his retirement party hosted by the community. Dr. Lewis McNamara graduated from Marquette University Medical School in Milwaukee and practiced in Montello from 1931 to 1945. He then moved to Milwaukee, where many Marquette County people who had moved to the city after World War II found him and used him as their physician. He was remembered as especially kind and called a doctor's doctor. While in Montello, he made house calls as far away as Puckaway in blinding snowstorms, once taking neighbor boy Charles Cotter with him to shovel them out when they got stuck. He died in 1961. The photo on the left of Dr. R.F. Inman from Montello was taken in 1939. Dr. Inman won awards for his wood carvings and was known to spend much time fishing on Buffalo Lake. He was born in Chicago and got his license in 1926. He died in 1972. He was a mayor for 2 terms, president of the school board, chief of staff at Divine Savior Hospital, and lived on Lake Drive in Montello. There he is with some of his wood carvings. Thank you for learning a little bit about medicine in Marquette County from the past.